is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, we got our guy Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department here. He's in the TV dungeon Zoom room right now, just literally sitting in the dark.
I'm not in jail. I'm not incarcerated.
Sure. Yep.
I'm not Adrian Peterson, right? I'm okay.
Wow.
But yes, somehow, some way, things were reconfigured in this room. My bad for walking in here 30 seconds before our scheduled hit. So I didn't have time to put everything back into place. Yeah. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, we will get into. So Alec Lewis from The Athletic used the phrase underlying tension to describe the vibe within the Minnesota Vikings this season. So we want to get your guys' thoughts. You guys have been out and talking to people in and around the organization. And also, J.J. McCarthy is back. So what now going forward? But Dukes, how much weight are you down here via Awaken 180?
Thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss, Phil, I am down 20 pounds. Started early September. Feeling good. Eating to lose weight. Yes, Awaken 180 weight loss. The plan literally is you eat to lose weight. They educate you what to eat, when to eat, portions, all that, right? But you are eating to lose weight. It is fantastic. A very easy plan to follow. There's no exercise required. There's no medication necessary. There's no calorie counting. A very simple plan. Awaken 180 has been doing this for over 10 years. They have thousands of recipes. I still need to dig in to some of those recipes. In fact, just ordered a new air fryer the other day. Amazon should be dropping it off today. So I look forward to making some chicken wings this weekend in the new air fryer. But thanks to Awaken 180, there's a special way to make those chicken wings, but can still enjoy chicken wings. Chipotle. Okay, love Chipotle. Love my chicken bowl. Just a different way of ordering at Chipotle. It is, I'm telling you, fantastic, right? I mean, I've lost some chunkage in my face. I've got the extra notch in the belt buckle, wearing pants I haven't worn in years, getting compliments from bigwigs like Phil Mackey. It feels good, all thanks to Awaken 180 Weight Loss. The website, awaken180weightloss.com. Again, awaken180weightloss.com. Go there, schedule your free consultation. You have nothing to lose outside of losing some weight. Go to awaken180weightloss.com or call them. It's 1-844-346-1800. 844-346-1800. Feeling good, Phil?
So I don't know if Kevin O'Connell's feeling good after reading this from Alec Lewis. I think he said this on his podcast yesterday, but he's floated this phrase before about the Vikings. So this is like the second or third time that he has kind of gone with this phrasing. And I'll just read it to you here. It felt to me, Alex said, that there's been like an underlying tension with this team, the Vikings, and its staff. You just get the sense that the joy that's been there in 2 of the 3 seasons where they won 13 and 14 games, you just don't feel that. Just in your guys, being around not only like this week and last week, but around throughout the entire summer, around the team, around Kevin O'Connell, talking to people behind the scenes. What are your thoughts on underlying tension behind the scenes with the Vikings?
Well, I mean, that's what happens when expectations are incredibly high. And at least at this point, you have an under 500 record. It starts at the ownership level. I mean, heck, I get it. It's Thursday. It's reckless speculation Thursday, but it's not reckless to suggest the Wilfs expected more. So then it trickles down from there. There has been some goofiness. I'll remind everyone, Jalen Naylor, they wanted him to go the conservative route. Contract year, he's thinking, okay, no Jordan Addison the first few weeks. I need to be on the field Monday Night Football opener in Chicago. So he had to go seek out a second opinion. Doc in Southern California says, okay, we can do a minor surgical procedure. I will get you back on the field for the Bears game. There's some other injury stuff that it makes you pause a little bit. Even going back to the TJ Hawkinson plan, last year. And so, yeah, I don't know if tension is the word I would use. Heck, if they can somehow find a way, even though they stink against Detroit in recent memory, if they can somehow find a way to win on Sunday, I'm not suggesting it would be kumbaya this time next week, but a lot would change by merely winning on Sunday. But yeah, I think it's an interesting time over there, Judd. I mean, yes, I mean there's all sorts of different things, but the injuries in particular have been just very weird this year.
And the Darisaw thing's been very, very odd. Just the fact that we thought he was coming back and seemed like they did, and then he is, and then he isn't.
Harrison Smith, we can go up and down the line, right? I mean, there's been a handful.
So here's how I would put it, because Alec is very good at what he does. I think we need to examine the word tension. So I think when we think of tension, we think of locker room tension, like players are upset at each other, or there's
conflict. I think conflict.
Yeah, right, exactly. So like there's a potential for conflict, or it's taking place, and I don't know that
schism.
Yeah, but exactly, and I don't know that schism, right? Yeah. But here's where the tension lies, and Doogie touched on it, and I do believe that it's true, and you can sense it. The tension lies in the fact that the Vikings tried to thread a needle that was going to be very difficult to thread, and we thought would be exciting if it was done, which is new quarterback. He plays, but you get all these veterans in free agency, which sort of masks the stink of the draft busts and the amount of drafts that have gone wrong, draft picks. And so that, like, if this worked, it was going to be this team that introduced a quarterback who was going to have to be good but not great, but these veterans were all going to pick up the slack, and it was going to be, and now they're 3-4. And I would say where the tension lies, more so than like the players, is the front office. O'Connell's feeling the pressure. I will continue to pound this drum, okay? So I'm about to say something, but Kevin O'Connell's in zero trouble. Kevin O'Connell's not being fired. Kevin O'Connell's in zero trouble. I think Kwesi, and I think we touched on this, I think the tension lies there, because you know what's gonna come home to roost unless things change immediately and quickly in a tough division with one of the toughest, if not the toughest schedule in the entire league. Dukes is right. The Wilfs are going to say, hold on a second here. We were sold this, but now we're going to look at your drafts. Why didn't those draft picks work? Why did you trade Mekhi Blackman and take a chance on Jeff Okudah, and then you hit Okudah, but then when you played him, Justin Herbert was like a five-year-old boy on Christmas Day running down to get his present, which was Jeff Okudah being beaten. And so I do think that the tension lies up top. I think the tension lies probably in the fact that you can't tell me that there's zero conflict, like with what O'Connell wants and what Kwesi probably wants now, because O'Connell's paid to win games right freaking now. And the front office is like, yeah, that's great, but we need to develop this or that. Anyway, I think we take tension, like Phil and Doogie just said, to mean schism, to mean conflict, to mean it's the players. And I don't think that's the case here. I think the tension lies within the organization because their master plan didn't work. And now the Wilfs are going to say, okay, let's examine why. And someone's going to have to answer questions.
Yeah, I mean, I was there over on Monday. I'll be there later today talking to a number of players. I don't sense anything along those lines in terms of the locker room. I'm telling you, it's the Wilfs. It really is. Yeah, and who are they communicating directly with? Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I do think there's a lot to be said about what you're laying out there, Judd, that it's Kwesi. And you think about all the money the Wilfs committed to spending in March. Phil, did anybody spend more money in the month of March than the Vikings?
I think the Patriots spent a lot of money, but they might have been number one.
But
they
just
might have
cash.
Been number one. Yeah. I think it was probably the Vikings. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're looking for some sort of return on that investment. Yeah. And so if you're the Wilfs, and I get it, there had to be some trepidation trying to thread, as you laid out, Judd, that tricky needle, right? With this first time starting quarterback that, yeah, you have a healthy opinion of, but it was still expected that it was going to be somewhat of a roller coaster. But then you look at the defense. I mean, this is remnants of the 2022 Ed Donatel defense. It really is. Maybe not quite to that level, but
it's bad.
It's really, really bad. Yeah. And so if you're Ziggy, if you're Mark, if you're Lenny, you're like, okay, we gave Javon Hargrave that much money. I mean, Has he done anything since the Chicago game? I mean, you can start going through each of these additions outside of really Eric Wilson and say, okay, what sort of return on that investment are we getting? Okay, Isaiah Rodgers against the Bengals, fine. But I'm just saying overall, you spend all this money. Okay, what are we getting in return for spending all that money? So, yeah, I think there's been some interesting conversations behind the scenes.
And Lenny is a defensive guy too, so this is infuriating to Lenny specifically from what I've heard. But JJ McCarthy is back, and it's I think it's a tall task to ask him as we resume his career here after another 2 months on the shelf to just fix everything. And that's kind of the irony right now is you drafted him. Unlike most franchises that are drafting a quarterback with a top 10 or 15 pick, most of the time your franchise is broken and that's why you're drafting so high. And you draft that quarterback kind of hoping or needing him to fix a lot of cracks in the foundation. And it's kind of an unfair ask. And I think that's part of the reason why quarterbacks are deemed failures early on. Well, you weren't in that position when you drafted JJ McCarthy. It wasn't, I mean, you were coming off a weird year. But you had a roster clearly that was good enough to go win 14 games without even using J.J. McCarthy. But now, 18 months later, you're sitting here 3-4. There are cracks in the foundation, and you are kind of asking him to fix some of it. Like, hey, man, we didn't really draft you to fix this thing, but boy, it'd sure be nice if you could go beat the Lions here and maybe even the Ravens. So what is the objective now, the next 10 games? Now that, besides like stay healthy JJ McCarthy for 10 games, what is the objective for the Vikings to get rid of this underlying tension here and McCarthy starting again?
Well, I mean, I think the objective is, the tension may exist as long as they're hovering around 500 or below 500 with expectations of being able to win double-digit games this year. But if we circle back to this topic in January and we can say wholeheartedly, hey, the Vikings have their 2026 quarterback, that J.J. McCarthy has demonstrated enough, these next 10 games, oh, by the way, just staying on the field, let's start there. Like, he's injury prone. We now know that, right? And so find a way to sustain a run here. But if we can circle back to this conversation in mid-January and say we feel good about the Vikings quarterback situation in 2026, then I view, regardless of wins and losses the rest of the year, I would view that as a win. I would. But man alive, yeah, it's a big ask. Now, like, I'm just curious to see JJ with Jordan Addison, the chemistry they had throughout the summer. He did not have him week 1 or week 2. To have Christian Darrisaw at left tackle. So there's certain things I want to see, even though I get it. 7 of the 8 quarters were putrid. I understand that, but I do want to evaluate JJ when he has his full complement of teammates.
And speaking of tension, I think part of this too, one of the most important things, and this is again going to run into conflict between certain people and certain jobs, is I think you need, if you're the Vikings and you're O'Connell, I think you need to sort of set a goal for what you want, and it can't be an unrealistic JJ wins 8 games and we go 8-2. It needs to be a what do we need, and Dukes is right again. Stay on the field. Okay, that's number 1. That's number 1, 2, and 3. But after that, what do we need to see to say, you know what, he stayed healthy and we're in good shape here? So like it's weird. You're now sort of moving the goalposts again because it hasn't worked thus far. To really, in my opinion, this is now raising a quarterback child. Like above and beyond anything, success with the defense, yeah, it'd be nice. But above and beyond anything, my opinion is the most important thing that you can do is make a decision that JJ's on the right path. But you've got to be able to make a realistic decision. It can't be like, well, he didn't look too good. I don't know. Like it felt like Ponder, who was a bust, but it felt like Ponder, they just didn't know what they wanted, and it became a mess, and he was a mental mess. With McCarthy, I think you need to pick what you need to see, and that's why I tried to ask O'Connell too yesterday. Are you going to call plays that suit sort of you and what you want, which is very different, or are you going to have to adjust how you call plays to suit McCarthy because this is all about the future. This is a very difficult topic. It's super intriguing, but I also think the most important thing is, how does JJ McCarthy look above anything else?
Well, and I get it. I mean, KOC answered your question to the best of his ability, but bottom line, in short, it's the latter. He needs to adjust. He knows he needs
Yeah, I agree.
to adjust. I don't know exactly what the heck that looks like, and it might be, opponent specific, like on Sunday. I mean, I'd like to think that Justin Jefferson is targeted about 18 times on Sunday, and it may be a lot of quick hitters. We're looking at the footwork, the mechanics, right? It could be that simple. Yes, the decision making. Yes, when does he decide to tuck it and run? Because we know the legs are a pretty big part of what he can do, his skill set. But I'm trying to figure out what exactly we're looking for these next 10 games. But to me, it's as simple as just some of these quick decisions, quick hitters on Sunday, and then we can reevaluate heading into the Baltimore game.
Let's get into some of the other guys on the injury report here, because injuries continue to be a central theme for this team. And there's a few different interesting cases on here as the Vikings have this sort of pseudo bye week. But Judd, let's shout out Padres here, the official beer of the sports dad himself this football season.
And now you're asking why. Sports Dad, why is this your official beer? And unlike the Vikings, I'm going to tell you, because I have picked a path. I have picked a clear path when it comes to my quarterback, and that's Padres Brewing. Why? Because Padres makes beer that tastes like beer. They are not trying to reinvent the beer wheel. They are not coming up with a seltzer here and a cute beer there. They are making beer that's fantastic, including their Patty's Premium, which is a great Sunday football sessions beer. The Red Chimney, my personal favorite, and one that has been selling fast since the day that it hit the shelves in liquor stores. In fact, their beer is now available in more than 200 stores in the Metro, Rochester, Mankato. So follow them on Facebook or Instagram, or check out their website, Padregs.com. Padregs, beer that tastes like beer. Meat and potatoes, old school football. We're not trying to be cute. We're just trying to be effective.
That's right. Pepsi is effective at quenching people's thirst as well, in a different beverage category here. And you can go into a few different locations and get these Justin Jefferson souvenir cups. You can go Target one, maybe 18 times if you want to. I like that number. So the three locations are the stadium itself, US Bank Stadium, when there's a home game, Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations, and new this year, Buffalo Wild Wings, where if you order 12 wings any style and a Pepsi, you get this cup here. There's a QR code on the side of the cup, and you can scan it and enter to win Victor's Ride, a Polaris Ranger 1000. It's that easy. Pepsi, the official beverage of the Minnesota Vikings, so make sure your fridge is stocked up before kickoff and for the rest of the season. And go get these Justin Jefferson souvenir cups at Buffalo Wild Wings, Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh, and or US Bank Stadium. Okay. Well,
I bet Victor would throw in those Zubas too, if you ask.
What's he wearing under them? Is he going commando? Why don't you report on that, Dukes? You want the real scoopage. There's tension under those Zubas. Underlying tension. I feel like, okay, so the injury report came out, the Wednesday report, and there's some DNPs, there's some limiteds, there's some fulls. I want to just circle Christian Darrisaw here for a second. So he was a full participant on Wednesday, which is great. But he has also been a participant in different weeks and then decided during the game at some point twice that his knee wasn't ready to go. So where are we at with Christian Darrisaw? And he spoke about this week a little bit. It feels like maybe they pushed it. He got ahead of the timeline at training camp and maybe even into the season. But he clearly has experienced pain and discomfort. So did the Vikings mismanage this in some way? Did Darrisaw push it too far? Where do you guys think we are with this Darrisaw situation?
Well, yeah, and it would be because I don't know if we'll ever get the definitive true answer. Now, Christian on Monday was pretty definitive that, hey, this was always a 12-month recovery. They had to allow the swelling to go down. He really didn't undergo surgery until early November. So this time last year, he was just waiting for the swelling to minimize. And so if you look at a 12-month recovery, return to game action, it probably would have been this game or the Baltimore game for Christian Darrisaw making his season debut. But he ends up avoiding the PUP list. So he's in there early in the season. Heck, I still think it was darn close. Like, I think he probably could have played week 1, but yeah, maybe somebody needed to step in and say, okay, let's go back to that original 12-month timeline. Let's put you on the PUP list to start the year. Let's bring you back early to mid-November. But my sense is, like, I can't tell you that the knee isn't going to flare up and something happens Sunday second half or something like that. But my understanding is fully expect Christian Darrisaw certainly to play more than the 9 snaps he played last Thursday in LA, and Brian O'Neill good to go. So the Vikings will have 4/5 of their starting offensive line on Sunday against the Lions.
Yeah.
May I suggest that in the case of Darrisaw, I think there was tension there. And I think the tension still exists between player and management and coaches. I think he definitely did very well in coming back. Like he was on the field in the spring. But if you go through like the comments from O'Connell and then the comments from Christian, they're very much at sort of opposite ends of what the expectation was. The one thing O'Connell said, and he wouldn't elaborate, but I think it was the most honest thing because they've been sort of coy. And I mean, teams are coy about this stuff. They always are. This is not new. But the one thing O'Connell said a couple weeks ago was he basically said there were issues with Darrisaw that I don't want to go into. And my question is, what were those? Like was the knee? I mean, we're told what the injury is, but we don't know. Did they get in there? Was it worse? Was it a problem beyond what we were told? 12 months for the injury that he suffered seems long. Like it's a bad one, but it seems long. So I wonder if it was
multiple ligaments, though, right? For a bigger. I mean, if we're
no question. No
what
question.
does KOC mean?
That's what. But that's the question. Like, what? Like, was it worse than we knew? Like,
he let it slip. He let it slip when he said that. He's like, I don't want to get into all the details. What do you mean all the what? It's beyond like the sort of standard ligaments that are torn. Like, what does that mean?
Or is it more ligaments? Was it the meniscus went too? Like what was it? So we don't know. But my point is, I can't figure out if the Vikings were trying to be evasive at first, or if this was a situation where they're like, no, you've been cleared, you can play. And Darrisaw's like, I just signed a contract. I want my contract to be honored in full at the end of the day. And I'm going to do what's best for me. So that's one of the mysteries, I think. But I would say the two sides were definitely not on the same page as to what the recovery was going to be. And you know what? He's Christian Darrisaw, and you signed Justin School. So I can understand if the coaches were like, can't you play?
Well,
can't you play?
I'm telling you, I mean, that opens up a larger discussion, not just Darrisaw. I mean, I don't know if tension's the word I would use, but certainly a disconnect, it seems, between the two sides. And how many other guys can we go up and down the list of injured players, even going back to Hockenson last year, there was goofiness. And, I mean, that's the issue. Like, they're never going to disclose any sort of medical information, but it lends itself to so many different questions. The Hockenson timeline last year, Harrison Smith ramping up his snaps this year. What exactly was going on with Harrison Smith? Was he cleared to play more snaps earlier than the Philadelphia game? The Jalen Naylor situation. And I'm sure I'm leaving out a few. How about Ryan Kelly being cleared with his concussion history?
No question.
So soon after that first concussion.
No question.
Now, the concussions, that's different, right? That's an independent doctor. That's a different animal when talking about brain injuries, concussions in the NFL. But I'm just saying, like, it still falls under the umbrella of there's all these different medical questions with the Vikings going back the last 12 months.
And not to belabor this one, because I'm tired of the topic, but, Carson Wentz said, I can play. And the Vikings are like, okay. And the doctor said he can play. Well, Christian Darrisaw, like everybody, football's weird because one, it's a contractual thing. Like Carson Wentz wants to start and wants a job, right? Christian Darrisaw has security. He wants his money. And that's not even getting into everybody's pain threshold is different. Like there's a lot of guys who probably would have told O'Connell, I cannot continue to play as your quarterback in this game. My shoulder hurts like hell. So like football injuries are so dicey because across the board, there's so many different factors and teams want you to play. But, Dukes, to your point, Jalen Naylor is a perfect example. They might have said, hey, for your recovery, the best thing might be to come back in week 3. And he's like, hold on a second here. I got a chance to play a lot and you want me to sit out? So like these are all very, very odd things, but they are definitely all individual things based on the person, where they're at in their life and where they're at in their career as well.
Well, and I'm telling you, very interesting when you bring up the contractual angle. I mean, with these guys having, dressing incentives, like a Jonathan Grenard. Okay, he's playing on Sunday, and like I never would have doubted that, but and I don't have his contract in front of me, so I don't know if he's got a sack incentive, but just these different milestone incentives. Heck, Harrison Smith has a playing time incentive, and I get it. He's made many, many millions of dollars, but I'm just saying, how do those things not creep into the conversation? Right? I mean, I'm seeing this in the NBA, right? With players, just not real thrilled about the 65 game threshold. Anthony Edwards should be okay here by mid-November, but when you think about Anthony Edwards being, qualified for All-NBA, we know he's an All-NBA player. We just don't know if he'll be first team or second team or third team, but All-NBA. But you need to reach that 65 game threshold, right? And so it's a very fascinating topic across all sports, but definitely in the NFL when thinking about incentives in each guy's individual contracts.
Dukes, I know you got to run and we got to run here in a minute, but just any other injury things, the DNP, CJ Ham, Jeff Okudah, concussion, Josh Oliver, foot, the limiteds where Grenard sounds like he's playing, Brian O'Neill, Isaiah Rodgers with the shoulder. Any other things from that list that you want to
Yeah,
throw
Grenard in, CJ Ham out.
Okay.
Hurt his hand in the Philly game. Yeah, he was a DNP on Wednesday, but expect to hear tomorrow that CJ Ham is out for Sunday. Josh Oliver, like I reached out to you guys the other day, threw it on my Instagram, shameless plug for my Instagram at Doogie Wolfson on Monday, that the vibe was that Josh Oliver was going to miss some amount of time with this foot issue, but can avoid short-term IR. Now, you only have so many short-term IR spots, and so the Vikings are getting up there, although I get it. The season's moving on here. But still, the feeling is he avoids short-term IR, but reevaluate next week. But it still might even be another week, although I'm sure he'd love to play against his former team on November 9th, the Ravens. So, yeah, so no Oliver, no Ham on Sunday. Yeah, all signs point to Brian O'Neill's return, Christian Darrisaw being a full go on Sunday, Jonathan Grenard, and Andrew Van Ginkel told my TV colleague, our mutual friend Chris Long, in the locker room on Wednesday, the plan is for him to return. So he's missed 5 of 7 games. Another interesting medical situation with the neck, and then re-aggravated, in his words, the neck when he suffered that concussion week 1, when he went head over heels after being blocked, misses week 2 against Atlanta, comes back for the Cincinnati game, then is out since then, but his return will be huge. I mean, stating the obvious when thinking about all the defensive issues, but Andrew Van Ginkel being back on Sunday will be big time. I'll also note before I go, Phil, the Vikings, they were attached nationally to Patriot safety Kyle Duggar. He got traded this week to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I checked with a direct source, was told, no, not really. Quote, no, not really. When I asked, hey, did the Vikings have any legit trade interest in Kyle Duggar? So I know some national pundits were saying, hey, that player is a really good fit in a Brian Flores defense. But as far as what I can gather, the Vikings never had serious dialogue with the Patriots about Kyle Duggar. Also, the Vikings will not have scouting representation at Huntington Bank Stadium on Saturday for Gophers Spartans, but the Jets will, as will the Miami Dolphins.
They've seen enough. All right. Good info, Dukes. We will catch you after Vikings-Lions next week. Darren Doogie Wolfson.
I like it. And also on the trade front, just nothing imminent from what I can gather. I mean, so much, to me, hinges on Sunday, right? If the Vikings lose, get to 3-5, maybe a guy like Naylor pending free agent, maybe, there's some trade dialogue Monday into Tuesday's deadline. But right now, I mean, Kwesi, Ryan Griggs, and others doing their due diligence. It's literally their job. So they are certainly conducting, different conversations with different teams. But as we sit here on Thursday morning, nothing from my front imminent. We know how aggressive Kwesi is when it comes to trades, but nothing imminent heading into next Tuesday.
Yeah. All right, Dukes. Enjoy your football weekend, and we will talk to you next week, man. Darren Doogie
Okay,
Wilson.
sounds good, boys. Love you. Take it easy.
For the
See ya.
Sports Dad, we love you too, Doogie. We'll see you guys on the Thursday episode of Purple Daily. Big day on the Purple Daily feeds. Click that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See ya.